He was an arrogant billionaire's son until a month stranded with a waitress changed everything. Welcome to True Soul Narratives, where every story carries a heartbeat, love, betrayal, forgiveness, and the courage to start again. If this story resonates with you, subscribe and leave a like. Now, let's return to the story. The sun beat down mercilessly on the small, uninhabited island. Relentless, scorching, unforgiving. Ethan Drake knelt in the sand, his hands raw and bleeding as he arranged driftwood for the signal fire. 28 years old, filthy, sunburned so badly his skin had started peeling in sheets. His designer clothes were now rags, torn, salt-stained, barely recognizable. He was building the fire for the 31st time in 31 days. His hands shook, not from effort, from exhaustion, from despair. From the crushing realization that no one was coming. 50 feet away, Maya Thompson gathered coconuts that had fallen from the palms lining the beach. 26 years old. Her dark skin was also burned, her hair matted with salt and sand. The white serving uniform she'd worn that night was now brown with dirt and sweat. But she kept moving, kept surviving, kept fighting. Ethan tried to lift another piece of wood. His arms gave out. The wood clattered onto the pile, and something inside him broke completely. I can't do this anymore. His voice was hoarse, broken. We're going to die here. Maya's head snapped up. The coconuts tumbled from her arms, thudding onto the sand. She ran, actually ran across the beach toward him. Don't you dare give up on me now. She dropped to her knees beside him, grabbed his shoulders. Ethan. Look at me. He lifted his head. His eyes were hollow, empty, the eyes of someone who'd lost all hope. A month ago, I wouldn't have even looked at you twice. The words hit her like a physical blow. Maya's eyes filled with tears, not from hurt, from fear. Fear of losing him, fear of being alone. And now, her voice cracked on the words. Ethan's expression shifted, softened. His hand came up to cup her face, gentle despite the calluses and cuts. Now I can't imagine surviving without you. They stared at each other, two people from completely different worlds, stranded, broken, but somehow impossibly in love. Maya pressed her forehead to his. Then don't give up. Please, we're going to make it. But neither of them believed it anymore. How did we get here? 1 month earlier, Ethan Drake's life had been exactly what privilege ought. Perfect, easy, meaningless. He was the son of Richard Drake, one of the wealthiest real estate moguls in America. Billion-dollar empire. Properties on every continent. The kind of wealth that bought politicians and shaped skylines. And Ethan? Ethan had never worked a day in his life. He lived off his trust fund, partied in different countries every week, drove cars that cost more than most people's houses, dated models and actresses whose names he never bothered to remember. People weren't people to Ethan Drake. They were servants, entertainment, background noise in his carefully curated life of excess. His father was turning 60, and Richard Drake didn't do anything small. The party was held on a massive luxury yacht off the coast of Nassau in the Bahamas. 300 feet of gleaming white vessel, 5 decks, helicopter pad. Everything excessive and unnecessary. Celebrities mingled with business moguls. Politicians laughed with tech billionaires. Champagne flowed like water. A live band played on the upper deck while guests danced under string lights that made the whole scene look like something from a dream. Or a nightmare, depending on who you asked. It was a night party, starting at 8 p.m. By 10 p.m., everyone was drunk. By 11 p.m., everyone was very drunk. Ethan stood on the main deck with his friends. Tyler, Jason, Marcus, all trust fund kids just like him. All treating the evening like their birthright. The servers moved through the crowd, local Bahamians hired for the event. They wore crisp white uniforms and carried trays of drinks and appetizers. Professional, polite, invisible to the guests. One of them caught Ethan's eye. She was beautiful. That was undeniable. Dark skin that glowed even in the artificial light. High cheekbones, full lips, eyes that were sharp and intelligent despite her deferential posture. She moved with grace, dignity, Even as drunk guests grabbed drinks from her tray without acknowledgement, even as people bumped into her without apology. Her name was Maya Thompson, but Ethan didn't know that, didn't care to know that. To him, she was just a help. Maya was 26 years old. She'd grown up in Nassau, worked 3 jobs to support herself and her younger sister Jasmine, who was 19 and in her second year at university in Miami. Jasmine was going to be a doctor, the first person in their family to get a degree. That dream cost money, lots of money, so Maya worked, waitressing, cleaning hotel rooms, sometimes bartending when they needed her. She sent almost every dollar she earned to her sister. Tonight's yacht job paid well, really well, enough to cover Jasmine's textbooks for the semester. So Maya smiled politely when drunk men made comments, nodded when guests snapped their fingers at her like she was a dog, kept her head down and did her job. Because that's what you did when you needed to survive. Ethan watched her for a moment, then dismissed her. Just another server, just more background noise. Tyler, one of his friends, laughed loudly. Can you believe they let locals on board? I mean, I know they're serving us, but still, Jason snorted. Right? My father's yacht only uses European staff. More refined. They all laughed, including Ethan. Maya, passing nearby with her tray, heard every word. Her jaw tightened. Her hands gripped the tray harder. But she said nothing, just kept walking. That's how it was. That's how it had always been. The party got rowdier as the night wore on. The music got louder. The drinking got heavier. Guests stumbled around the deck, laughing too loud, dancing too wild. It was 11:47 p.m. when everything changed. Maya was serving drinks on the outer deck, the one closest to the railing, the one with the best view of the dark ocean stretching endlessly in every direction. She moved carefully. The deck was slick from spilled champagne and the ocean spray. She'd learned to be cautious. But you can't prepare for chaos. A drunk guest stumbled backward, hard, fast. His body crashed into Maya before she even saw him coming. The tray flew from her hands, glasses shattered on the deck, and Maya lost her balance. She grabbed for the railing. Her fingers brushed it, missed, and she fell. Over the side, into the black water below. The ocean swallowed her instantly. She screamed, a desperate, terrified sound. But the music was too loud. The guests were too drunk. No one heard. No one saw. Except one person. Ethan had stepped outside to get air. The party was too much, too loud, too fake. He'd been standing at the far end of the deck, away from everyone, staring at the ocean. He saw her fall, saw the white uniform disappear over the railing, heard the splash even over the music. For a split second, he froze. His brain tried to process what he'd just seen. A server, falling into the ocean. The yacht was still moving, full speed, leaving her behind. He should call for help, should alert someone, but there wasn't time. Without thinking, without planning, without considering the consequences, Ethan kicked off his shoes and jumped. He hit the water hard, cold, shocking. The yacht's lights were already distant, moving away, leaving them both behind. In the chaos of the party, in the drunken celebration, no one noticed that 2 people were missing. The yacht sailed on into the night, and Ethan and Maya were alone in the vast, dark ocean. If you're hooked and need to know how they survive, hit that subscribe button right now. We share incredible stories about love that breaks barriers, survival that transforms, and the courage to choose what really matters. Don't miss what happens next. Here's a question for you. If you saw someone in trouble, would you risk everything to help them? Drop your answer in the comments below. Ethan's lungs burned as he swam through the black water. The ocean was freezing, colder than he'd imagined. Each stroke felt like pushing through concrete. Help! Somebody help! Maya's screams cut through the night, desperate, terrified, fading. He swam harder, faster, his arms aching, his chest screaming for air. Hold on, I'm coming! But the ocean was so dark, so vast, he couldn't see her, could only follow her voice. And then suddenly there she was, thrashing, panicking, going under. Ethan grabbed her arm, pulled her up. She came up gasping, choking, immediately trying to climb on top of him. "Stop fighting me, I'm trying to help." But Maya was drowning. Drowning people don't think. They just fight. She clawed at him, pushed him under trying to get air. Ethan went under. Water filled his mouth, his nose. He kicked hard, broke the surface, grabbed her from behind. "Listen to me. Stop fighting or we'll both die." Something in his voice got through. Maya went still shaking, still terrified, but still. "I've got you. Just breathe. I've got you." He kept her afloat, one arm around her chest, the other treading water. Both of them gasping, shivering, alive for now. The yacht lights were disappearing in the distance, getting smaller, dimmer, until they were just pinpricks against the black horizon. Then nothing. Maya started crying, full, wrenching sobs. "They left us. They just left us. They don't know we're gone." Ethan's voice was firm, trying to convince himself as much as her. "No one saw us fall, but they'll notice, they'll turn around." "When? How long until someone realizes we're missing?" Ethan didn't answer, because he didn't know. The party was chaos. Hundreds of drunk people. How long before anyone noticed two people were gone? Hours passed, endless, agonizing hours. They took turns supporting each other. When Ethan's arms gave out, Maya held him up. When she couldn't tread water anymore, he took over, back and forth, keeping each other alive. The ocean was so cold, so dark. Every shadow looked like a shark. Every sound made them flinch. Ethan had never been so terrified in his entire life. Then finally the sky started to lighten, black fading to deep blue, blue shifting to purple, purple bleeding into pink. Dawn. And with the light came something else. Something that made Ethan's heart leap. Land. A small island. Maybe 2 miles away. Green jungle. White beach. Real. Solid. Salvation. Maya, look." She lifted her head, barely conscious, her eyes focusing on the island. "Can you swim?" "We have to try. I don't think I can." Her voice was so weak, exhausted beyond measure. "You have to. I can't carry you the whole way." Maya looked at him, then at the island, then back at him. "Together?" Together. They swam, slow, painful, every stroke agony, Ethan's muscles screaming, Maya barely moving, but they kept going, kept pushing, because the alternative was drowning. The sun rose higher, hotter, burning their already exhausted bodies. Finally, after what felt like forever, Ethan's feet touched sand, touched bottom. They were in the shallows. "We made it, Maya, we made it." They crawled, actually crawled out of the water onto the beach, collapsed face first in the sand, both unconscious before they even realized they were safe. Hours passed. The sun climbed high, beat down on their motionless bodies. Maya woke first. Her throat was so dry it hurt to swallow. Her skin felt like it was on fire. She opened her eyes, squinted against the brutal sunlight. "Where am I?" She sat up slowly. Every muscle protested, her head pounded, her vision swam. Then she remembered. The fall, the water, Ethan jumping in. Ethan. She looked over. He was lying a few feet away. Still, too still. "Ethan!" Her voice came out as a croak. She crawled over to him, shook his shoulder. "Ethan, wake up!" He groaned, rolled onto his back, opened his eyes. "Where are we?" Maya looked around, really looked. They were on a small island. Beach stretched maybe 100 yards in both directions before curving out of sight. Behind them, dense jungle. Palm trees, vegetation so thick she couldn't see through it. And in every other direction, nothing but ocean. Endless, empty ocean. "I don't know," she whispered. Ethan sat up, took in their surroundings. His face went pale under the sunburn. Reality sinking in, crushing, suffocating. They were stranded. He fumbled for his phone, pulled it from his pocket. The screen was black, dead. Water had destroyed it completely. "My phone's on the yacht," Maya said. "In my locker." Ethan threw his phone onto the sand, ran his hands through his salt-crusted hair. Someone will find us. My father will send people. Search and rescue. The Coast Guard. They'll find us. Maya looked out at the vast ocean, at the horizon that stretched endless in every direction. How will they know where to look? Ethan didn't answer, because she was right. The yacht had been moving. They drifted for hours. They could be anywhere, miles and miles from where they'd fallen. The silence between them was heavy, terrifying. Then Ethan stood abruptly, taking charge, doing what he always did, assuming control. We need to find shelter. Get out of the sun. Maya stayed sitting. We need fresh water first. We'll die faster from dehydration than exposure. I think I know what we need to survive. She looked up at him, really looked at him. This spoiled rich boy in his designer clothes. This man who'd probably never gone a day without air conditioning and bottled water delivered to him. Oh, really? Have you ever actually worked for anything in your life? Ethan's face hardened. Excuse me? You heard me. Maya stood now, facing him, equal despite everything. You're a spoiled rich boy who jumped off a yacht. That doesn't make you a survival expert. I saved your life. And now we're both going to die here because you have no practical skills, no real-world experience. You probably don't even know how to start a fire. The words hit him like slaps, because they were true. Every single one. Ethan had never started a fire, had never gone without food for more than a few hours, had never done anything that required actual survival skills. But his pride wouldn't let him admit it. Fine. You think you can do better? Go ahead. Lead the way. Maya stared at him, anger and fear and exhaustion all mixing together. I grew up on these islands, Ethan. I know how to survive. But you better learn fast, because your daddy's money doesn't mean anything here. She turned and walked toward the jungle, leaving Ethan standing alone on the beach. Humiliated, angry, terrified, and for the first time in his life, completely powerless. Day 3 on the island, and Ethan Drake was discovering that money couldn't buy survival skills. He knelt in the sand, striking rocks together over a pile of dry grass and twigs. Again and again and again. Nothing. No spark. No flame. Just the humiliating sound of stone hitting stone while sweat poured down his face. Come on, he muttered through clenched teeth. Come on! Behind him, Maya emerged from the jungle, carrying a bamboo container filled with clear water. She'd found a freshwater stream about a quarter-mile inland, had fashioned the container from bamboo she'd cut with a sharp rock, while Ethan failed to make fire. She watched him for a moment, his frustration building, his movements getting more frantic, more desperate. Move. Let me try. Ethan looked up at her, his pride screaming, his face flushed with embarrassment and heat. You think you can do better? I know I can. She set down the water and knelt beside him, pushed his failed pile aside, started gathering different materials, dry coconut husk, bamboo, the driest grass she could find. Then she created a bow drill, bamboo on bamboo, fast, controlled friction, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. Within 3 minutes, smoke appeared. Then a small ember. She carefully transferred it to the grass bundle, blew gently, coaxed it, and flame erupted. Real fire. Actual fire. Ethan stared, humiliated, but also impressed, deeply impressed. How did you? I grew up here, Ethan. Island life teaches you things. She fed small sticks into the growing flame. Things that matter when survival actually depends on you, not your bank account. The words stung, but they were true. And Ethan was starting to learn the difference between hurt pride and necessary truth. They worked together over the next few days, building a shelter from palm fronds and bamboo, a lean-to structure against the jungle edge, protection from sun and rain. Ethan's hands blistered, bled. Every task was harder than he'd imagined, but he kept working, kept trying. Maya showed him how to weave fronds together, how to secure them with vine, how to angle the structure to catch breeze but block rain. At one point, as they worked side by side, Ethan stopped. looked at her. Why are you helping me? I've been an ass to you. Maya didn't look up from the fronds she was weaving. Because if you die, I'm alone. And I don't want to be alone. The honesty hit him harder than any insult could have. I'm sorry. His voice was quiet, raw. For how I treated you at the party, and before we fell, the way I laughed when my friends mocked you, the way I didn't even see you as human, Maya finished for him. Yeah. She finally looked at him. You didn't even look at me like I was human. I know. Ethan's throat tightened. I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed of who I was. Maya held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. And that was a start. By day 7, something was changing, shifting. Ethan was getting better at survival tasks. Learning, actually learning. Not just going through motions, but understanding. Maya taught him to fish using a sharpened stick. Showed him how to stand still in the shallow water. How to wait. How to strike fast when the moment came. He missed the first 10 times and the next 20, but on his 31st attempt, the stick went through a fish. Clean. Perfect. I did it! Ethan's face lit up like a child's. Pure joy. Genuine accomplishment. Maya, I actually did it! Maya laughed. Actually laughed. The first real laugh since they'd been stranded. You look like a kid. I feel like one. Ethan held up the fish like a trophy. I've never actually accomplished anything before. Maya's smile faded slightly. What do you mean? Everything in my life was handed to me, everything. I didn't earn my job, didn't work for my money, didn't achieve anything through my own effort. He looked at the fish. This is the first thing I've done myself, really done. And it's just a fish. It's not just a fish, Maya said softly. It's food. It's survival. It's proof you can do hard things. Ethan looked at her, and she looked at him. And for the first time, Maya saw him differently. Not as the spoiled rich boy from the yacht, but as someone capable of growth, of change. Day 10 brought cooler weather, a reprieve from the relentless heat. They sat by the fire that night, both exhausted from the day's work, both more comfortable with each other than they'd been. Maya stared into the flames. My sister Jasmine is 19, second year at university in Miami. What's she studying? Pre-med, she's going to be a doctor. Maya's voice filled with pride. First in our family to even go to university. That's why you work so hard, multiple jobs. 3 jobs. Maya pulled her knees to her chest. Waitressing, cleaning hotel rooms, sometimes bartending on weekends. Every dollar I make goes to her tuition, her books, her life. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then, I spend more on a single night out than you probably make in 6 months. Probably more. That's obscene. His voice was hollow. I never thought about it before. Never considered that money I threw away on champagne could change someone's entire life. Maya looked at him. Most rich people don't. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. By day 14, they'd fallen into a rhythm, a partnership. They still argued, still had moments of friction, but they were surviving, together. That night, as stars blazed overhead, Ethan finally opened up about his father, about Richard Drake and his impossible expectations. Nothing I did was ever good enough. I got straight A's. He wanted perfect scores. I made varsity. He wanted MVP. I built a business plan. He said it showed no vision. Ethan stared at the fire. So eventually I stopped trying. And became the spoiled playboy? Maya asked without judgment. If I was going to disappoint him anyway, might as well enjoy it. He laughed bitterly. Or so I thought. Maya was quiet for a moment, then, that's sad, Ethan. You're capable of so much more. How do you know? She looked directly at him. Because you jumped into an ocean to save someone you didn't even respect. That takes courage. Real courage. Not the performative kind. Ethan's chest tightened. No one had ever said anything like that to him before. No one had seen him that way. Thank you, he whispered. Day 17 brought a storm. Violent, terrifying. The wind hit first, howling through the jungle, bending palm trees nearly double. Then the rain, sheets of it, torrential, blinding. Their shelter held, barely, palm fronds shaking, bamboo frame creaking, but holding. Lightning split the sky. Thunder shook the ground. The ocean roared like a living thing. Maya was scared, really scared. She'd been through storms before, but never like this. Never this exposed. Ethan saw her shaking, moved closer, pulled her against his chest. "I've got you. We're okay." Lightning flashed again, illuminating their faces. And in that moment, Maya really looked at him. This man who'd jumped into an ocean for her, who'd learned to fish and build fires, who was becoming someone different, someone real. "I was wrong about you," she said softly. "What do you mean?" "You're not just a spoiled rich boy. You're—" She hesitated. "You're more than that." Ethan's heart raced, not from the storm, from the way she was looking at him. "Maya?" But before he could say more, part of the shelter's roof collapsed, palm fronds crashing down, both of them scrambling to hold it up, to keep the rain out. The moment broken, but something had shifted, something neither of them could take back. And as the storm raged on, they worked together to repair their shelter, to keep each other safe, to survive another night. Two people who'd started as strangers, who'd been divided by class and circumstance, now bound together by something much stronger. Necessity, respect, and the first fragile threads of something that felt dangerously like love. Day 21 started like any other. Ethan woke to the sound of waves, the smell of smoke from their carefully maintained fire, the warmth of the sun already climbing. But something was wrong. Maya hadn't gotten up yet. She was still lying on her side of the shelter, curled up, shaking. "Maya!" Ethan crawled over to her, touched her shoulder, his hand jerked back. She was burning up, fever, high fever. "Maya, wake up!" She opened her eyes. They were unfocused, glassy. "I don't feel good." Panic hit Ethan like a physical blow. They were stranded. No medicine, no doctor, no help. If she died here— No, he wouldn't let that happen. "Stay with me, okay? Just stay with me." He spent the next 2 days in constant motion, cooling her forehead with wet cloths soaked in stream water, finding plants Maya had pointed out weeks ago, medicinal plants. He wasn't sure if he had the right ones, but he had to try one. He made tea from leaves, forced her to drink it, changed the cloth on her forehead every hour, barely slept. In her delirium, Maya grabbed his hand, her grip weak but desperate. "Don't leave me." Ethan's throat tightened. "I'm not going anywhere. I promise." He meant it. With everything in him, he meant it. On the third day, her fever broke. She opened her eyes. Clear eyes, conscious eyes. "Ethan?" He nearly collapsed with relief. "You're okay. Thank God you're okay." Maya was weak, so weak she could barely sit up, but she was alive. "You saved me, again." Ethan cupped her face in his hands that were calloused now, rough, changed. "You're the only thing keeping me human here." Their eyes locked, and something passed between them, something they'd both been fighting for weeks. He leaned in, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Their lips met, soft, tentative, real, perfect. When they pulled apart, Maya's eyes were wet with tears. "Ethan." "I know," he whispered. "I know." By day 25, everything had shifted, changed. They were openly affectionate now. No more pretending, no more fighting it. They held hands while walking the beach, laughed together over small things, sat close by the fire at night. But that evening, as the sun set over the endless ocean, Ethan asked the question that had been haunting him. "When we get rescued, what happens to us?" Maya's hand slipped from his. She pulled away slightly. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean." He turned to face her fully. "We're from different worlds, Maya." Her expression hardened. "So this is just what? Island romance? Survival convenience?" "That's not what I meant." Then what? She stood up, anger and hurt mixing together. You think your billionaire father will accept you dating the waitress? The local girl who serves drinks? Ethan stood too. I don't care what he thinks. You say that now. But when we're back in civilization, when you're surrounded by your real life, your real world, Maya, I love you. She stopped, completely stopped, stared at him like he'd just spoken a foreign language. What? I love you. His voice was steady now, sure. And not because we're stuck here. Not because you're the only person around, because you're the first real thing in my entire fake life. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Ethan, you challenged me, changed me, made me see how empty everything was before, how meaningless. He stepped closer. I don't want to go back to that life without you in it. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. But fear was stronger. Fear of being hurt. Fear of not being enough. We'll see, she whispered, when we get rescued. We'll see. Let's play a game. If you're truly watching and not just scrolling through comments, type "Love Survives" in the comments below. Only those who made it this far will understand what happens next. Day 28 brought both hope and devastation. Maya spotted it first. A ship, distant, on the horizon, but real, actual civilization. Ethan, Ethan. He ran from the shelter, saw where she was pointing. His heart leaped. They both ran to the beach, screaming, waving their arms. Ethan's signal fire was already smoking. He threw green leaves on it, creating more smoke, more visibility. Help! We're here! Help! The ship continued on its course, parallel to the island, not coming closer, not stopping. No, please, we're here! Maya's voice was hoarse from screaming. Ethan waved frantically, desperately, but the ship was too far. Moving away now, disappearing back into the vast ocean. They stood there until it was completely gone, until there was nothing but empty horizon again. Then they both collapsed in the sand, devastated, broken. Maya was crying, full, wrenching sobs. They're not looking anymore. They think we're dead. Ethan pulled her against him. We're not dead. We're alive. And we're together. What if no one comes? Her voice was small, scared. What if we're here forever? Then we build a life here, together. Maya looked up at him through her tears. You'd really stay here? Give up everything? Your father's empire? Your money? Your whole world? Ethan wiped her tears with his thumb. I'd give up everything for you. And he meant it, completely, utterly. For the first time in his life, Ethan Drake knew what truly mattered. Not money, not status, not his father's approval. Just this woman, this love. By day 30, they'd made peace with their situation, accepted that rescue might never come. They built a better shelter, more permanent, started planning for long-term survival, a garden, better fishing tools, ways to make life sustainable. That night, lying under the stars, Maya spoke softly. If we grow old here, just us. Would that be so bad? Ethan finished. She turned to look at him. No, it wouldn't. He pulled her closer. We'll make a life, however long we have, wherever we are. We'll make it beautiful. Maya rested her head on his chest, listened to his heartbeat. Steady, real, hers. Fear had transformed into acceptance, acceptance into peace, and peace into something even deeper. Love. Not the desperate kind born from survival, but the real kind. The kind that chooses to stay even when rescue seems impossible. The kind that says, wherever you are, that's home. And as they lay there under a sky full of stars, two people from completely different worlds realized they'd found something most people spend their entire lives searching for. Each other. Nothing else mattered. Not wealth, not status, not the worlds they'd come from. Just this. Just love. Just them. And somehow, impossibly, that was enough. Day 31. Early morning. The sun was just beginning to paint the sky pink and gold. Ethan and Maya lay sleeping in their shelter, exhausted from another day of survival. Another day of building a life they'd accepted might be forever. Then a sound, distant, mechanical, growing louder. Thump, 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 thump. Ethan's eyes flew open. He knew that sound. Helicopter blades. Maya, Maya! He shook her awake. Get up! Get up now! They both scrambled out of the shelter, ran toward the beach, their legs pumping, their hearts pounding. The helicopter was circling. Lo, the pilot had seen their signal fire, the smoke rising into the clear morning sky. They see us, Maya screamed. They see us. The helicopter descended, landing on the beach, sand whipping up from the rotor wash, the noise deafening. The door opened, and Richard Drake stepped out. Ethan froze. His father. Alive. Real. Here. Then he was running. Actually running into his father's arms. Richard caught him, held him, both of them crying. We thought you were dead. Richard's voice broke completely. We searched for weeks, every island, every possibility. We thought we'd lost you. I'm here. I'm alive. They held each other, father and son, reunited, safe. On the helicopter back to Nassau, Ethan sat beside Maya, their hands intertwined, fingers locked together like they'd been for the past month. Richard sat across from them, his eyes taking in everything. The way they sat close, the way Ethan looked at her, the way she looked at him. His expression changed, hardened. Son, who is this? Ethan squeezed Maya's hand. This is Maya. We survived together. Richard's tone shifted, colder, calculating. I see. Maya felt it immediately. The judgment, the dismissal. She tried to pull her hand away. Ethan held tighter. Dad, I love her. Richard's jaw tightened. His eyes flashed with something dark. Disapproval. Anger. We'll discuss this later. The rest of the flight was silent, tense. Maya stared out the window. Ethan kept holding her hand. Richard stared at them both with barely concealed displeasure. When they landed in Nassau, chaos erupted, press everywhere, cameras, microphones, questions shouted from every direction. Mr. Drake, how did you survive? What was it like on the island? How did you manage for a month? The story was huge. Billionaire's son lost at sea, presumed dead. Now found alive. It was international news, but Maya was being pushed aside, literally pushed out of frame by reporters and cameras, treated as background. It was the waitress who was there. One reporter thrust a microphone at Ethan. What was it like, surviving alone on that island? I wasn't alone. Ethan looked around, found Maya being edged out of the crowd. He pushed through to her side, pulled her forward. Maya saved me. In every way a person can be saved. The reporter blinked. The waitress? Her name is Maya Thompson. Ethan's voice was firm, clear, and she's the reason I'm alive. He held her hand high, made sure every camera saw, made sure the world knew. But the damage was done. The narrative was set. Billionaire's son survives. Local waitress was there. Supporting character. Not equal partner. Days later, Richard summoned Ethan to the family mansion. The massive estate Ethan had grown up in. The place that suddenly felt cold. Empty. Wrong. They sat in Richard's study. Expensive whiskey poured, leather chairs, all the trappings of wealth. This infatuation with the island girl needs to end. Ethan's hands clenched. She's not the island girl. Her name is Maya. She's a waitress, Ethan. You've been through trauma. Extreme circumstances create false bonds. You'll get over it. I won't, and I don't want to. Richard stood, towering, imposing, using every bit of his power and presence. I forbid this relationship. Ethan stood too, met his father's eyes. Then you forbid me. Richard's face went red. Excuse me? You heard me. If you can't accept Maya, you can't have me. I won't choose your approval over her love. You're throwing away your entire future, your inheritance, your family. No, Ethan's voice was steady, strong. I'm choosing my future. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing something real. He walked out, didn't look back, heard his father calling after him. demanding he return. But Ethan kept walking. He drove straight to Maya's apartment, a tiny place in a working-class neighborhood, so different from the mansion, so real. He knocked. She opened the door. Her eyes were red. She'd been crying. "Then, what are you doing here?" "Choosing you. I'm choosing you over everything." Maya's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Your father doesn't get to decide who I love." And then Ethan dropped to one knee, right there in her doorway, right there in front of curious neighbors and the whole world. "Maya Thompson, on that island, you taught me what it means to be human, to work, to care, to love." His voice cracked with emotion. "I don't have a ring, but I have this." He pulled something from his pocket. A shell, polished smooth by his hands over weeks. The shell they'd found on day 15. The one Maya had said was beautiful. "Will you marry me?" Maya was crying, laughing, her hands covering her mouth. "Yes, yes, Ethan, yes." He slid the shell onto her finger, stood, pulled her into his arms, kissed her as their neighbors applauded. 6 months later, they stood on a beach in the Bahamas. A small beach, intimate, real. Maya wore a simple white dress. Her sister Jasmine stood beside her as maid of honor, tears streaming down her face. So proud, so happy. Ethan wore a suit. Some of his family had come, friends who'd stood by him, but not Richard. Richard had refused, had cut Ethan off completely. Ethan didn't care. He had everything that mattered standing right in front of him. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, promises made not because society expected them, but because they meant them. "I do," Ethan said. "I always will." "I do," Maya whispered. "Forever." They kissed as waves crashed behind them, as the sun set over the ocean that had brought them together. For their honeymoon, they went back to the island, their island. They stood on the beach where they washed up 31 days earlier, where everything had changed. "This is where my real life started," Ethan said, his arm around Maya's waist. "Mine too." They kissed as the waves crashed, as the sun set, as the world spun on. Two people who'd found each other in the most impossible circumstances, who'd chosen love over everything else, and lived happily. Really, truly happily. Ethan was an arrogant billionaire's son who thought money made him better than everyone, who looked down on people, who dismissed a woman because she served drinks instead of owning companies. Then he was stripped of everything, stranded on an island, forced to survive with someone he'd dismissed as beneath him. And in that struggle, in that desperate fight for survival, he discovered something wealth could never buy: real love, real worth, real purpose. Sometimes we have to lose everything to find what truly matters. Sometimes the things we think make us valuable, money, status, power, are the very things keeping us from becoming who we're meant to be. Maya didn't need rescuing. She was already strong, already capable, already complete. But together they saved each other. From loneliness, from emptiness, from lives that looked successful but felt hollow. Love doesn't ask about bank accounts. It doesn't care about social status. It just asks one question: are you willing to see me, really see me? And when the answer is yes, everything else falls away. Have you ever had someone completely change your perspective on life? Someone who made you question everything you thought you knew about yourself? Share your story in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that real love breaks every barrier, and that sometimes losing everything is how we find what matters most, hit that subscribe button right now. We share powerful stories about love that refuses to bow to society's expectations, struggles that transform us into better people, and the courage to choose love over everything else the world tells us matters. Because sometimes the person who changes your life is the one you almost didn't see. And sometimes paradise isn't a place, it's a person.